we love doing most. Magical Kenya. The magic awaits.
We do apologize for that false start and where I come from. We describe these things as things which have been made by human beings. Of course, we are glad that you could join us for this edition of Channel Newshour. My name is Edward Kabasa. It has been a very busy day today, and we have some figures for you. This is as far as the COVID-19 situation in Kenya is concerned. The Ministry of Health is reporting tonight that 637 people have tested positive for COVID-19. This is out of 4,275 who were tested over the last 24 hours. Some good news though, 499 people recovered from COVID-19, but 10 succumbed to the disease. Of course, the government is urging you that you must observe safe social distancing, plus of course wear your mask, sanitize your hands and wash them as well. 254,273 have so far been tested for this virus, and 14,805 of those have been confirmed to have contracted COVID-19. The green there indicates the number of people who have recovered from the virus, 6,757, but 260 so far succumbed to COVID-19. We have a comprehensive coverage of this, plus so much more. But first, let us take a look at the highlights.
Over the last 24 hours, we have 637 new cases of COVID-19, following the testing of 4,275 samples.
Kenya records another high in COVID-19 cases as the government blames Kenyans for failing to observe containment measures.
And according to the data, as you can see, William Ruto still continues to be the front runner, followed by Raila Odinga.
New poll puts Deputy President William Ruto ahead of others if elections were held today.
This time of the year, the migration, they are here, and there's no tourists because of the COVID really affecting all over the world.
And it's the annual migration time for the famed wildebeest at the Masai Mara, but with no tourists to cheer owing to COVID-19 pandemic. Once again, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Lenso Dingo is handling the sign language interpretation this evening. The Ministry of Health is warning Kenyans against normalizing the COVID-19 disease, saying cases could surge beyond the ones projected owing to lack of behavioral change by Kenyans. In the last 24 hours, 637 people have tested positive for the disease, and this is from 4,275 samples collected, bringing the total number of infections to 14,805. Fatalities also rose by 10 to 260. Purity Marcel begins our coverage tonight.
The Ministry of Health Wednesday put on the spot Nairobi and counties bordering the metropolitan city amid rising coronavirus infections in the regions. Kiambu County recorded 274 cases over the past 1 week compared to Mombasa's 85.
The safety of each and every one of us lies with an individual before it spreads to the society. If one stays safe, then the entire society will eventually be safe.
In the last 24 hours, Kenya recorded yet a higher number of COVID-19 cases after 637 people tested positive for the disease.
Nairobi recorded 342, Machakos 85, Kajiado 57, Kiambu 51, Nakuru 22, Mombasa 17, Nyeri 13, Busia 10, Muranga 9, Uasin Gishu 6, Bomet 5, Kericho 3, Kisii 3, Marsabit 2, and Narok, Vihiga, Meru, Embu, Garissa, Homa Bay, Kakamega, Kilifi, Kirinyaga, Kisumu, Kitui, and Laikipia have 1 case each.
The number of coronavirus deaths in the country rose to 260 after 10 more patients succumbed to the virus.
Factors, of course, for severe COVID disease are well known to us, and this is now our own locally generated data, with a combination of hypertension, diabetes accounting for 32% of the cases, hypertension alone accounting for 17% of the cases, diabetes on its own 15% of the cases, chronic lung disease and cancers each account for 10%, and HIV accounts for 5% of the cases of severe COVID disease.
499 patients also recovered over a similar period, including 406 who were placed under the home-based care. The total recoveries reported since April 1st rose to 6,757. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health has launched the Kenya Essential Medicines List 2019 as an intervention in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. The number of coronavirus cases in Nairobi and counties neighboring the metropolitan city is increasing. Health officials are warning this number is expected to even grow bigger if Kenyans in these areas continue to throw caution to the winds. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News, Nairobi.
Former Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai has faulted the Ministry of Health for failing to adhere to his legal advice prior to the signing of the controversial 63 billion shilling managed equipment service. Githu, who appeared before the Senate's ad hoc committee investigating the mega procurement, said the Ministry of Health also refused to furnish his office with a final contract for review. The managed equipment service program has come under extensive scrutiny, with governors alleging that the program is a waste of public funds and a scheme to defraud the public. The ghost of the managed equipment services has come back to haunt former Health Cabinet Secretary James Macharia and PS Khadija Kasachon. On Wednesday, former Attorney General Githu Muigai accused the two of executing the 63 billion shilling contract without the blessing of the State Law Office.
When they come here, I'm sure, Senator, you want to ask them, the AG told you that after the pre-contract, when you negotiate the final contract, you send it back to him for review. Did you send it back to him?
Githu told senators that the Ministry of Health refused to present him with a contract despite his numerous requests to have him review the deal. The former Attorney General was, however, taken to task to explain how his office allowed the alleged illegality to take place.
The AG is not an ombudsman. He's not an ombudsman. So he doesn't go from ministry to ministry asking them, what are you doing and how are you doing it? The only time the AG ever gets to know that the ministry is doing anything of a legal nature is when the ministry itself informs the AG.
Senators are investigating how the Ministry of Health awarded the medical equipment contract made claims that the country may have lost billions of shillings.
Just one further question. At what stage did you get to know about MESS project?
I first got to know about it when a request was made to second a specific council. And at that time, the impression was we are conceiving something. It's at the conception stage. It will take a long time to materialize. We just need somebody with a legal mind to help along. So I sent an officer.
So they didn't share with you what is entailed in the request as far as this project was concerned?
No.
Stakeholders, among them governors, have argued that the project was heavy laden with lacunas and that the country may have been duped into wasting billions of shillings. The government is considering paying teachers who have been working in public schools but under respective boards of management. Education Chief Administrative Secretary Zachary Kinuthia has hinted that the ministry will start paying teachers employed by public school boards who have gone without pay for months due to COVID-19 pandemic, a stipend to sustain them.
Speaking in his Nairobi office Wednesday, Education Chief Administrative Secretary Zachary Kinuthia said the ministry was planning to roll out funds to public schools to facilitate payment of teachers employed by Board of Management. This stipend is expected to also cater for staff employed by public school boards, including cooks, matrons and watchmen.
They have been without salaries for now a couple of months, and they have been crying to us. I want to assure them that as government, we have heard their cries, and it is not like the government is insensitive. It has been listening to their cries. We have been getting appeals through letters, phone calls, through media engagements. We have heard them cry, and we have heard their prayers. Although this one will be an announcement made by the Cabinet Secretary and the Principal Secretary in charge of early and basic education, I want to assure them that something will be done by their Board of Management from the ministry.
Kinuthia acknowledged that teachers employed by Board of Management had gone for months without salaries, same as teachers serving in private schools. Kenya Private Schools Association has also reached out to government for concessional loans to settle the arrears.
Why do we feel and understand the pain that the private school teachers are going through? I want to be honest with them and tell them that that is a position as it is. The chair of KEPSA, that is Kenya Private Schools Association, has appealed through the organization to the government to give them concessional loans that can settle the arrears. You know, some of these schools are also are also established in private, also owned lands. You know, they pay rents to exist.
According to the Kenya Private School Association, more than 1,000 learning institutions may fail to reopen since they are unable to pay rent for premises they hired for schools. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
A sizable number of Kenyans who used to earn their livelihood from small-scale businesses continue to count losses as the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic reach far and wide. Stanley Munyendo, who runs a barbershop and salon in Nairobi, tells Channel 1 of his unfortunate experience of a slowly collapsing business that is now earning less than 500 shillings compared to his usual income of 7,000 shillings a day.
For the last 4 years, Stanley Munyendo has managed to invest in barbershop and salon business. With this, in a day, he says he could earn up to 8,000 Kenya shillings. But just like many Kenyans, the storms of tough times in the wake of the COVID-19 are taking a toll on him.
Imebidi hata hiyo corona hiyo building hiyo second business nimeifunga kwa sababu singeweza kulipa rent na wafanyikazi na biashara ziko chini.
Currently, this is the only barber shop he is running. He too was forced to cut down on his workforce, and the earnings can barely sustain his needs.
Unakuja unapata watu wa kinyozi wamenyoa mtu mmoja, amenyoa mtu mmoja, mwingine amenyoa mtu mmoja. At the end of the day unapata niko na 500. Hiyo 500 ninafaa niwagawie nusu ndio yangu, na sasa unaweza pata kwa siku mimi niko na 250.
Stanley Munyendo's situation is a reflection of many small business holders, many failing to renew their licenses.
Kama ni mambo ya license na nini, wangesamea watu wa biashara kwanza, ndio at least biashara tuone vile itapika.
The obtaining situation occasioned by lack of customers, as many opt to keep off for fear of contracting the novel coronavirus. Some, however, say they cannot cater for such services.
Ilifika wakati hata nikaacha kwenda, nikachukua kinyozi, nikanunua kinyozi yangu hii tu ya kawaida, hii kaleza ndio nanyinyoa nayo.
Hata leo nimepitia hapa, mwenye kinyozi akaniambia ndevu imekaa mbaya, nikamwambia sina kakitu. Akaniambia kaa unyolewe, ukipata utaleta.
With many businesses on the verge of collapse, small business operators who mostly have lived off their savings can only call on the government to give them a ray of hope. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
62% of Kenyans want to see new faces in the 2022 general election, a national opinion poll survey has revealed. The poll conducted by the Intel Research Solutions indicated that Deputy President William Ruto is the most popular presidential candidate. Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua was ranked as the best performing governor, followed by Mombasa's Hassan Joho, with Kisii Governor James Ongwae rated last. Kenyans were split on the Building Bridges initiative, with 47% supporting it and 41% opposing it.
A majority of Kenyans are rooting for new faces in the 2022 leadership if the numbers of a national opinion poll conducted by Intel Research Solution, a market and social research company, are anything to go by. From a sample size of 4,224 from all 47 counties, 62% of respondents want to see change and new leaders in 2022 presidential candidature. Currently, however, the survey indicates that Deputy President William Ruto is the most popular candidate, followed by former Prime Minister, with Machakos Governor taking third position.
These questions were open-end. We didn't prompt, so these were the top mentioned. So as we can note, Kenyan, they're looking for change. They're looking to have new leaders and new faces. Dr. Alfred Mutua has never shown any interest to run for the presidency, but he's coming in as number 3.
And also we have Governor Joho, who was coming at 5%. I think, and also, interestingly, also Wycliffe Oparanya for the first time has also come up in our findings.
But something again you also need to note in the next slide is that there's a huge percentage of people who are undecided.
The study showed DP leading in popularity in all regions, save for Central Nyanza, where former Prime Minister Raila Odinga led at 36%, with DP coming second at 23%.
Look at South Nyanza. This is Kisii, Nyamira, Migori. We have a deputy president taking the lead, and which stands at 28%, followed by Honorable Raila Odinga at 24%, and we have 5% of people who are undecided.
The research done by the one-year-old company also cited Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua as best performing governor, placing county bosses of Nakuru, Kericho, Kisumu and Kisii as least working governors. With regards to a change in the constitution, 47% of the participants expressed support for the Building Bridges initiative, while 41% oppose it. 12% are not decided. Data was also gathered on how Kenyans feel about their leaders, with 48% saying they would re-elect their senators, while 54% and 51% are planning to re-elect their MPs and women representative respectively come 2022. The face-to-face survey was done between 10th and 15th of July this year. Kamchemenza for Channel 1 News.
Kirinyaga County Governor Anne Waiguru was on Wednesday grilled by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission over alleged illegal claims of travel impress amounting to 6 million shillings. Waiguru, who spent the better part of Wednesday at the Integrity Center, denies any wrongdoing, instead accusing Kirinyaga ward representatives of political witch hunt. Waiguru was summoned on a day that Kirinyaga ward representatives appeared before the Senate Devolution Committee, where they accused the governor of consistently undermining the authority and independence of the Kirinyaga County Assembly.
Personally, I was called because of the issue of imprests, and we've clarified each and every allegation that the MCAs had done, and I'm happy that the truth is finally out, and I'm sure soon you will hear what the report is. This is definitely witch hunt from County Assembly. I mean, it is witch hunt. Some of those trips, they were saying that we did not go. They were there themselves. So, but ESCC needed to do their own parallel investigation separate from the Senate, which they have done, and we hope that soon we will hear what their report is.
It is important that this committee and honorable senators understands the conduct and the attitude of the governor towards the legislative authority of the County Assembly. This governor operates under the belief that the role of the County Assembly is to approve whatever it receives from the county executive, that the County Assembly should pass everything without consideration and necessary amendment.
You are watching Channel 1 News. We are taking a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have plenty more lined up for you.
Sisi Kenyans, we are always ready kuzunguka for bidhaa na biashara. So, when the postal sector opened up, kila mtu started sending and selling kila kitu. And now, Kenyans have kadhaa local and international courier service providers and new e-commerce platforms. And in these times of crisis, our delivery and e-commerce networks are helping us send and receive parcels and goods purchased online safely. Now, the introduction of a national addressing system will fungua even stronger market links and leave no county behind.
Mawasiliano kwetu, nguvu kwako. The Communications Authority of Kenya, opening your world.
Mimi sijapotea. Niko tu hapa. Mimi niko hapa kwa mimi niko nakuja. Don't mind. Wacha hata usikate simu yako. Mimi ndio hii nimefika, hata angalia
kupata baba anakuja. Bonyeza *811 *962#. Bonyeza *811 *962#.
The food security pillar under President Kenyatta's Big Four agenda emphasizes on involving smallholder farmers in feeding the nation. This week on Project 254, we continue to unravel the household water storage project.
Tukuna najua kama kuna kitu kama hii. Tukua naona kama ni mchezo.
The rains have stopped, but for me I will not stop the planting. I will still planting my maize.
Sasa njaa ile inaitwa njaa. Hatuwezi shikwa na njaa. Serikali imetufanya mambo mazuri kabisa.
Watch it on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Jumapili hii kwenye runinga ya KBC, ungana naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu kuanzia saa 1 hadi saa 2 asubuhi.
Ningetaka nikwambie, our Jehovah God, because the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today and forevermore. He is able to take you to a place of abundance. He is able to take you to Rehoboth in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
Welcome back to the program. Music artists in Murang'a County are said to benefit from a multi-million shilling state-of-the-art audio-visual production facility under the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Studio Mashinani program. The studio will be hosted in Gatanga constituency, and the construction will be complete in 14 weeks' time.
In a move to support and supplement efforts of local music artists, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation (KBC) has begun construction of an audiovisual studio in Gatanga constituency, Murang'a. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Managing Director Dr. Naim Bilal says the project under the studio Mashinani will cost 25 million shillings. Dr. Bilal, who led the government delegation to Gatanga, said the program comes at an opportune time for artists who will have access to professional studio services at an affordable cost.
Tayari tuko na studio Nairobi, tuko na studio Mombasa, tuko na studio Kisumu. Sasa hii ndio imekuwa ya 6. Na haja vile nimesema ni kukuza ubunifu sana hasa kwa vijana. Kwa hivyo Gatanga imechaguliwa kufuatia amri ya rais alipokuja mazishi ya Di Matthew mwaka uliopita kwa tujenge studio Mashinani hapa, manake kuna vipawa, kuna talanta nyingi sana hapa Gatanga. Tutajengewa studio na pia tutengewe na kitu inaitwa film hub. Ile itaweza kuleta vijana wetu wasomeshwe maneno ya muziki, wasomeshwe maneno ya kutoa sinema, na pia waoneshwe maneno ya kutoa mpaka cartoon. Maana sasa lazima tutafute kazi za kisasa. Zile kazi za tai zimeisha.
Through the Studio Mashinani project, upcoming and established artists in the region and its environs will be trained on the composition of songs and other artistic aspects of quality music productions.
Wale wanamuziki wote na wale vijana ambao wako na talanta mbalimbali wataitumia hiki station vizuri vile inatakikana ili waweze kupata mapato kutokana na talanta zao.
Tungependa kuja hapa kuwapatia mafunzo vijana ili waweze kuwa na ile taaluma ya kuwawezesha kutoa kama ni muziki, kama ni filamu ambayo kila mtu atafurahia kusikiza ama kuona.
Please do your content to promote national cohesion. Muziki usiwe ni wa kutenganisha wananchi. And the artist must avoid taking partisan positions.
Gatanga constituency is home to a number of renowned Central Kenya musicians, among them Peter Kigia, the late John Di Matthew, and Gashadhi Wadhuo. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
The annual wildebeest migration spectacle has kicked off at the Masai Mara National Game Reserve in Narok County, but with a handful of photographers and a few workers of Masai Mara Game Reserve in attendance due to the coronavirus pandemic. Dubbed the 8th wonder of the world, the migration by the wildebeest from Serengeti in Tanzania to the Masai Mara in Kenya is taking place at a time the tourism industry has been crippled by the pandemic.
Every July to October, about 1.5 million wild beasts and zebras uniformly cross Mara River from the Serengeti National Reserve in Tanzania to the Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya in search of greener pastures. This year's migration is unique since the gnus are crossing without the presence of humans, and the rare sight has been left to the lions, hyenas, and crocodiles of the Mara. However, due to the coronavirus pandemic, only a handful of photographers and few Mara walkers were present to witness the spectacle kick off this year.
We are just watching wildebeest crossing, and when you see, there are very few tourists, but the one you see right here, the residents that are watching the wildebeest crossing.
Normally when you get any crossing point, you get more than 1,000 cars. You know, the park authorities normally has to be there to do the control. It's quite different like this time round.
The migration has been a sight to be attracting hundreds of visitors from within and abroad, but this time it is taking place when planes and movement have been grounded by the coronavirus pandemic.
Like last year, moments like now, we are full. We could have been full house. And if you look at it now, no clients at all because of this COVID-19.
Actually, they are really affecting the tourists, and that's why now this time of the year, the migration, they are here, and there's no tourists because of the COVID really affecting all over the world. What I just want to tell the world is to be patient.
Like many who depend on tourists in the Mara to cater for their families, Francis Aruni is worried that if the situation continues, the migration will just end unnoticed.
Everybody who lives around the Mara depends on tourism, but because we don't have guests around, it has really, I can say, caused a lot of problems.
Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
To the corridors of justice now. The Children's Court in Nairobi has thrown out a paternity case against Chief Justice David Maraga, filed by Mary Kwamboka on the basis that she had failed to pay the requisite court fee of 655 shillings. The woman had stormed Milimani courts in June this year, claiming that she had been barred from filing a suit against the CJ for child upkeep.
The paternity case against Supreme Court President David Maraga by Mary Kwamboka failed to kick off on Wednesday after the plaintiff failed to pay the required court fee of 655 shillings. Kwamboka had alleged in court documents that she conceived the child in 2013 and had wanted the court to compel the CJ to be giving her a monthly support of 161,600 to cater for the child's entertainment, medical expenses, food, clothes, house rent, school fees, and a house help. It has since been determined that the mother and the child's record do not exist in the registrar of births. Maraga's lawyer has attributed the suit to Maraga's succession politics and differences with the executive that involve appointment of 41 judges.
A woman who came to court to shout and make loud noise was stage managed by forces outside that woman. The people instructed her have failed to pay so that we battle for the truth to come out.
Elsewhere, the judiciary has suspended operations at the Makadara Law Courts in Nairobi for 14 days following confirmation of 2 COVID-19 cases at the courts. Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Ann Amadi, has directed all staff to proceed on self-quarantine and the affected staff seek medical attention, at which time the premises will also be disinfected. Milimani Law Courts will also be shut down on Friday for a 2-day fumigation exercise. And Kasipur Member of Parliament Charles Ongondo Were was on Wednesday morning arraigned in court and charged with flouting COVID-19 regulations. The legislator who pleaded guilty to the charge was released after paying a 15,000 shillings fine. Were was arrested on Tuesday night at the chief's camp in Oyugis town, where he was distributing sanitizers to the locals, thus violating mass gathering ban. On Tuesday, Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja was also fined 15,000 shillings after pleading guilty to a similar charge. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Let's now cross our borders. Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi has lifted a health emergency over the coronavirus outbreak and ordered a gradual reopening. This even as the country having recorded 8,534 infections, including 196 deaths since March 10th.
The Democratic Republic of Congo, which has more than 80 million people, has recorded 8,534 infections, including 196 deaths since March the 10th. However, President Felix Tshisekedi has lifted a health emergency over the corona outbreak and ordered a reopening in 3 stages of business activities, schools, and borders. Tshisekedi said the figures place the Democratic Republic of Congo as the 9th worst hit country in Africa in terms of the numbers of cases and 12th in terms of death. Elsewhere, President Donald Trump has warned the U.S. pandemic may get worse before it gets better, as he revived his virus briefings with a more scripted tone. Trump has also asked all Americans to wear face coverings, says they will have some effects. The president, who was not wearing a mask at the briefing, has previously disparaged them as unsanitary. In another development, the United States has ordered China to close its consulate in Houston, Texas by Friday, a move described as political provocation by Beijing. Tensions have been rising between the U.S. and China for some time. President Donald Trump's administration has clashed repeatedly with Beijing over trade and the coronavirus pandemic. This as a study in Delhi has revealed that more than 1 in 5 people in Delhi may have been infected with the novel coronavirus, indicating most cases in the Indian capital region have gone undetected. India has reported almost 1.2 million cases overall, behind only the United States and Brazil. United States of America has joined the UK as the first countries to order for the proposed COVID-19 vaccine, which is under trial at the Oxford University. Earlier on, the UK had ordered for 90 million doses of the vaccine. Meanwhile, new COVID-19 vaccines trials are underway in Brazil. Nearly 24 potential vaccines for the novel coronavirus are under various stages of human testing worldwide, and at least 2 are being conducted in Brazil, the country with the world's second worst outbreak after the United States.
And back home, all 52 Huduma centers countrywide have reopened after complying with the Ministry of Health guidelines on prevention of COVID-19. Elsewhere, the Pubs Entertainment Restaurant Association of Kenya is urging the government to take action on establishments that break the law by opening beyond prescribed hours of operation. These and more details in our county news roundup.
Speaking in Murang'a County, Huduma Kenya Secretariat Chief Executive Officer James Buyekane said all 52 centers countrywide has instituted safety measures to ensure staff and members of the public are protected from contracting COVID-19 disease.
Wakati ambapo wanakuja katika hizi services zetu za huduma, wafuata yale maagizo ambayo wanaongozwa kuyazingatia.
In Nairobi County, the Pubs Entertainment Restaurant Association of Kenya (PERAC) is urging the government to take action on establishments that flout health and safety guidelines put in place to curb spread of coronavirus.
There should not be a collective punishment to the entire sector. Offenders should be individually charged in court.
And Kirinyaga County Deputy Governor Peter Ndambiri is now blaming Governor Anne Waiguru over current stalemate with members of the County Assembly over the budget-making process.
I want to state clearly that Kirinyaga County belongs to us all. Therefore, I beg and I pray that we should put our differences aside for the sake of the great people of this county.
I take this opportunity.
Meanwhile, Kiambu County Governor James Nyoro has urged senators to agree on a formula for revenue allocation that is favorable for all devolved units.
As they negotiate about this formula, they should pass that formula. This is the biggest test on high population.
Elsewhere, Wasingishu County Health CEC Evelyn Rotich and her chief officer have appeared before the County Assembly COVID-19 Committee to answer to queries of equipment procurement and establishing 19 quarantine facilities without public participation. A section of residents in Mount Elgon, Bungoma County are threatening to hold weekly demonstrations over what they term as wanton corruption at Mount Elgon National Government Constituency Development Fund NGCDF offices. And finally, in Garissa County, a section of youth from Madogo, Tana North Sub-County, took to the streets to denounce the allocation of all the 2,800 slots under Kazi Mtaani program to Hola Township. The irate youths claim the area is always discriminated whenever opportunities for the youth arise.
Kuna kazi mtaani ambayo ilitolewa na national government, nafasi ilipeanwa ni nafasi 2,800, yote ilipelekwa katika district ya Galole peke yake. Ndani ya Tana North hakuna kijana hata mmoja ambaye ameandikwa.
It's time for another break. Business News is coming up next.
There's so much that you can do yourself to protect yourself from getting infected and to prevent yourself from passing the virus on to others.
Data gathered in more than 20 countries by the research initiative Global Health 50/50 confirms that women are infected with the virus as frequently as men, but men are more likely to contract severe forms of COVID-19 and die from the infection.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Mimi si mtoto. You know very well that was my idea and you ended up taking it. You have a lot of explaining to do.
Madam Julia.
Can you guys believe that he was hooking me up with his father?
He is not my father.
Aye?
Can we move on to a more valuable topic?
This Joan?
Oh, Joan, she's...
Can you not talk to me, please? Thank you. I'd hold my tongue if I were you.
What I'm trying to say is that you can give me that feather. You know I can do others.
Welcome back. Time for business. Over 300 ICT and engineering trainees who have been on a 12-month on-job training and work experience under the Presidential Digi-Talent Program graduated Wednesday via video conferencing. ICT Authority CEO Dr. Catherine Gitau underscored the central role played by ICT, noting that the fight against COVID-19 has seen development of innovative mobile and web-based application for data collection, analysis and reporting to monitor and make data-driven strategies to manage the pandemic.
The Presidential Digi-Talent Program, that is in its fourth year of implementation, has so far seen 1,300 Digi-Talents graduates since inception in the year 2015. Unlike past events, Wednesday graduation ceremony for over 300 ICT and engineering trainees was conducted virtually. Speakers underscored the role played by ICT in Kenya's development plans, especially as the world adjusts to effects of COVID-19 pandemic that has seen organizations move most of their operations online.
I would also like to acknowledge the engineers, the ICT people all over this country who are making it possible for us to interact, to talk, to share over video conferencing, to continue buying and selling and communicating with our friends and business associates all over the world.
She said that the Digi-Talent program invests in developing human ICT capital, which is a key resource in designing, developing, and operating ICT infrastructure and investments made by both the government and the private sector.
The focus is to develop and sustain high-end ICT talent by bridging the skill gaps between industry requirements and the capabilities of the local workforce. Gitau
challenged the youth to be more agile and entrepreneurial to survive today's world that is competitive and plagued with challenges. Benson Droba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
The Lake Region Economic Bloc wants plans by the Ministry of Agriculture to lease 5 state-owned sugar mills suspended until all parties agree on a consultative process. In a virtual meeting, 14 governors from the region called for the gazettement of the report by the Sugar Task Force Implementation Committee.
County governors in the Lake region are calling for a pause on the long-term lease bidding process for management of 5 state-owned sugar millers, namely Nzoia, Chemelil, Soni, Muhoroni and Miwani. This comes days after Agriculture CS Peter Munya indicated that the government had started cleaning the books of the 5 sugar factories in readiness of the long-term leasing exercise. Already, the cabinet has approved writing off of a 62 billion shillings debt owed by the sugar millers.
Loan zilikuwa zimeombwa huko kwa Sugar Board na yale mataxes yote yalikuwa katika sekta hii, yote serikali imefutilia mbali.
But governors from the Lake region say the process ought to be stopped until stakeholders agree on the way forward.
The expression of interest on leasing of the state-owned sugar companies is suspended until all parties agree on the consultative process. This is very important, because since we have traveled this journey together of analyzing the sugar industry and agreeing on what needs to be done, we improve the industry and put it on a sustainable path of growth.
The governors are calling for open, consultative and participatory meetings with all stakeholders to help revive the sugar industry. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Cotton farmers in Yatta and Masinga in Machakos County are a happy lot after selling their first harvest in 20 years. The farmers who had abandoned cotton farming due to frustration from brokers have now vowed to increase the acreage under the crop.
Cotton was introduced in Masinga and Yatta areas of Machakos County in 1970 and farmers found it lucrative. However, the cooperative societies that marketed the produce collapsed, while others accrued huge farmers' debts, forcing farmers to abandon the crop for maize and beans.
Kwa na sita nyingi sana, lakini sasa sita inafunguka.
Sikia furaha sana president akifungua hiyo factory ya pamba. Kwa ajili hiyo ndio mali yetu, kahawa yetu tunausanga.
Farmers in semi-arid areas of Machakos County entered into an agreement with the Thika Cloth Mills, which specializes in making school uniforms and fabrics for the uniformed service, to reintroduce the crop in the area. The company lured farmers by offering free seedlings, fertilizer and pesticides.
Na sisi kurudi nyuma, tukaona kwamba mkulima amekuza pamba, na hiyo pamba sisi viwanda ambavyo tuko tunafanya kazi Kenya tunaweza kutumia hiyo pamba.
Thika Cloth Mills is targeting about 10,000 tons of cotton from Yatta and Masinga sub-counties. The farm has also entered into a deal with cotton farmers in Mpeketoni in Lamu County and other parts of Western and Meru counties.
That actually it is not easy to get these orders. It's not just buy Kenya, build Kenya. So it has taken a while for them to come. But thank God eventually the change has come. People have heard and the change is here.
Fikiria hizi ni nguo ambazo ni lazima ziwe zinatoka kwa nchi za nje. Hizi vitenge tumetengeneza hapa Kenya na tumetengeneza za zile ambazo tunaweza kutumia hapa na hata ile kiwango ya kutuma kwa nchi za nje.
The farmers are calling on the Machakos County government to send agricultural extension officers to the area to train them on the best crop husbandry.
Hii ilime pamba kabisa. Hata tulisikia akisema hakuna katika mafasi yote ya serikali itakuwa ikitoka hapa Kenya, itatoka nje.
Thika Cloth Mills is targeting about 10,000 tons of cotton from Yatta and Masinga sub-counties.
And in other matters, Butter Shoe Company has asked Shanga bidding women in Samburu County to present samples of their work for analysis and possible partnership. If sealed, the deal will expand the market for beading products and turn around the women's livelihood. Beadwork is done almost exclusively by women who, besides doing it for traditional attire, have also turned it into a lucrative business enterprise. In Samburu, such endeavors are bearing fruit, with the Shanga Bidding Women Group eyeing a deal that will see them decorate shoes with beads in a deal involving a local shoe company.
Tunashona kila aina, tunashona viatu pia, tunashona kila aina shanga, rungu, tunashona mchipi. Kuna bahati sana kuwa na kwa sababu tumepewa na kampuni ya Butter to represent samples kwao, na tunaomba waweze wanapopata hizo samples tuwe tukifanya kazi pamoja nao.
The deal is being brokered by Neya Foundation, a local non-government organization. The women group was given shoes for decoration with beads, after which they presented their samples to the shoe company in support of the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative.
I am here with Butter Shoes sample. I've given it to women. They're going to build the shoes, and we'll have our second presentation for Butter Shoe Company.
So tunaomba kama kuna mali ambayo tunaweza pata tamali za kuuza, tunaomba tupate hiyo nafasi kama itakubalika.
They are hopeful that they will get the chance to work with the shoe company in decorating shoes, walking sticks, bags and belts with beads.
Hamjambo wa Kenya wenzangu, mimi ni Mheshimiwa Mize. Ninalotaka kuambia ni kuwasihi ya kwamba corona iko, na ili tupigane nayo na tuishinde. Ukikohoa, tafadhali kama una ile ya kujifunika ile tishu, weka mkono hapa. Kama ni chafya yako atyo, na itabakia pale pale. Kama ni kukohoa yako koholea hapo. Na nakwambia tukizingatia sheria na tuitii, hii corona tutaishinda na nchi yetu tutarudi kama kawaida.
They were bent on defending their title in the 1998 FIFA World Cup finals, but it was not to be.
3 minutes of stoppage time already.
As Zinedine Zidane rained riot over the Samba Boys of Brazil.
Into the goal! France has taken the lead! France has taken the lead!
Watch this epic match this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1 as we take the international lane this time round.
Let's take a look at some sports news now. Football Kenya Federation has announced the formation of a transitional committee of 5 Kenyan Premier League chairmen charged with the coming up of proposals of the league, which will run next season. Via a virtual meeting held Wednesday that brought together several KPL clubs, representatives settled on Dan Shikanda, Tusker FC's Dan Aduda, Kariobangi Sharks, Robert Maoga, and Colonel Eric Olu of Ulinzi Stars to lead the league post-KPL period. The Kenyan Premier League was halted in March following the announcement of the first coronavirus case in the country on March 12th. Subsequently, FKF terminated the remainder of the 2019-2020 season, a decision that was disputed by KPL, who sought the adjudication of Sports Dispute Tribunal. Meanwhile, FKF has since announced a 1.2 billion shilling sponsorship deal for the top-tier league with West Africa's Bet King. And further afield, Aston Villa secured a priceless 1-0 win over Arsenal and moved out of the English Premier League relegation zone with one game to go. Trezeguet beat Emiliano Martinez with a powerful finish after Tyrone Mings diverted a corner into the Egyptians' path to lift Villa out of the bottom three for the first time since 28th February. Villa moved above Watford, who had started the day 17th before a heavy defeat by Manchester United on goal difference. The Midlanders' second win in 3 games set up a dramatic final day at the bottom of the table on Sunday. But that does it for us on a day that the country recorded yet another high number of coronavirus infections. The government is urging Kenyans not to treat this virus lightly, and you are being urged to practice safe social distancing as well as the maintenance of the highest standards of personal hygiene. Should wear a mask, sanitize and wash your hands. My name is Edward Kabasa on behalf of the team here, including my sign language interpreter Lanzo Dingo. Do have yourself a very wonderful evening ahead. And up next is the weather forecast, 5-day forecast by Irene Michuma Odim.
That's right, Kabasa. Good evening, everyone, from wherever you are. This is Channel 1 Weather Updates. A very warm welcome. My name is Irene Michuma Odim. Generally, wet conditions will continue over a few areas in the western parts of the country in the next 24 hours. But before we get to that, Tonight, Nairobi area, Central Highlands, the Lake Basin region, northwestern parts of the country will experience scattered wet conditions. This, as the rest of the country is covered with scattered clouds. In the capital, it will be sunny tomorrow morning. This is something we have not experienced for quite some time, especially during this month of July, though it will still be cloudy and cool in Meru and Nyeri before giving way to sunny intervals. There will be showers in Mombasa during the morning hours. The northeastern parts of the country will experience sunny conditions. Similarly, in the southeastern lowlands, though it will be cloudy in Makindu, Voi, and Kitui. Wet conditions are expected in Kitale and a few areas around Lodwar. In the afternoon, we'll see showers accompanied by thunderstorms dominating the western parts of the country, also the northwestern parts of the country, and equally in the Lake Basin region. It will be sunny in the northeastern parts of the country and southeastern lowlands. Cloudy conditions will characterize the coastal strip as much as sunny intervals will prevail. The highest temperatures across the country will stand at 33 degrees Celsius, and that will be in Mandera. But then, if you have plans to be in the capital, this is how the weather will be in the next 5 days. We're expecting scattered wet conditions to characterize the region, and the highest temperatures will stand at 25 degrees Celsius. That will be on Sunday. And if you have plans to move to Mombasa, or you are in Mombasa, expect dry conditions to prevail, apart from wet conditions of a few places which will be experienced tonight. Now, on that note, it's time for us to cross the borders and see how it will be in other parts of the world. Do have a good night and a lovely day tonight.
Asante. Namshukuru Mungu mara nyingine tena, mtazamaji popote ulipo. Majina yangu ni Apostle Paul Kiatine kutoka kanisa la Victory Breakthrough Center hapa Nairobi, Embakasi, mahali panaitwa Tasia. Nasikia msukumo wa Roho Mtakatifu kunena neno